What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a new and exciting episode of the Viall Files Going Deeper edition. And boy, do we have an episode for you. The one and the only Audrina Patridge is with us today from the hills. You might have heard of her. Wonderful person.
Lovely.
What a delight.
Really grounded. Has a really calming, wise energy.
Got some hills tea.
Oh, boy, did we.
Yeah, we did.
Some producer antics.
We dug.
The Bachelor, I mean, for all the shit the Bachelor producers get, they have not done that.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
What are we talking about? Well,
listen up.
Listen up. What's new? What's going on?
I had a very cute date day with my boyfriend this weekend. We went to a museum and then we went to a dog birthday party for his roommate's dog.
I've been to one of those.
It was the most wholesome experience. I could not even believe it. There was a cake made for the dog that was like dog friendly. It had like the special like peanut butter icing and whatnot. There were people and dogs there. So it was like dog friends. And it just made me think there was something really heartening about seeing everyone just like interact with dogs so much. And I was curious, like, what is your guys' go-to doggy voice?
I don't know if I'm prepared to share mine, but
Why?
Natalie has a very distinctive one.
Yeah,
Why
she
won't
does.
you share?
I just call him Buddy a lot. I'm just like, hey, buddy.
Bye, buddy. Hope
Hey,
you find
bye,
your
buddy.
dad.
Yeah, basically.
Are you super like,
A little bit, yeah. I always want to be like, are you having a good life so far?
yeah.
He could be doing a lot worse, let me tell you.
I'm just like, I kidnapped him from his family.
That's most dogs' tales.
I just want to make sure his quality of life is pretty good. So I just always want to check in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think dogs can tell. I'm a big believer in talking to dogs sometimes in the way you would talk to humans. Like sometimes I think you got to do the enthusiasm voice thing, but I think other times just being like, hey, it is great to start the morning just seeing your smiling face. How you doing? Like, I think they can really tell.
Natalie was home visiting her father this weekend, and so I was home alone. And it's nice to just, so what are we having for dinner? I mean, me, but I'll like someone to talk
Gives
to.
you someone to talk to, especially like I live by myself and people are always like, oh, that's like so lonely. And I'm like, but it's not really by myself.
Yeah.
But I'm always like, I always ask Kiki, like every time she does something, I'm like, that is so funny, my baby. And like, everyone's like, that is so funny, my baby. I'm like, you're so funny. Like, that's how I talk to her. Or I imitate what I think her voice would be, which is like, oh, hi, my name is Keeks. And it's kind of like nasally in here. She's like, hi, Bob. Hi,
I imagine
Keeks.
Kiki is like a smoker, you know? Like, it's like the things I've seen.
Yeah. Like Joey from Friends, his agent. That's
Yeah.
Kiki's voice.
She's like, I lived on the streets. Yeah.
Let me tell you something about the FBI.
She's like,
Not what
back
they
in
used
my
to be.
days in Chicago.
Natalie's got a very distinctive Jeff voice.
Can you imitate it?
No.
I call dogs Bubba a lot.
No.
I call all pets Bubba.
So I was thinking
Hey,
about doing
Bubba.
a birthday party for Kiki in the fall because, again, it's approximate, but I think she's about to turn 10. And so my friend and I were wondering if we should do one of those DNA kits and do it like almost like a gender reveal, but like in the middle of the party, open the envelope and see what she is.
Sure, that'd be fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a 23andMe.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't find out she's like 17.
Jesus Christ.
Is that how those kids work?
She just drops dead
Yeah.
at the birthday party.
She got 3 days left.
That's the most traumatic thing I can ever imagine.
I'm glad you have a sense of humor.
Oh my God.
We're shocked she's still here. We have a texting office update from yesterday.
Yes.
It was quick.
The hot chiropractor. If you don't know what we're talking about, well, I know you are excited about
Audrina.
But
You do not play yourself by listening to this update before listening to like the full text
Pause
composition
this
process.
episode.
pause this episode.
Go back.
Go back
Please.
and listen.
Listen to
We
the
don't
office
have
hours.
to beg. You'll be doing yourself a favor by listening to a
I don't
dynamic
think it was
episode.
the beg. I think it was a firm ask.
Anyway, now that everyone's up to speed, thanks for coming back. I hope you enjoyed this episode, or that episode, rather.
So she had messaged the chiropractor saying, hey, bad news and good news. Bad news is I think I might need to find another chiro, but the good news is I know this cool new place. I want to take you for drinks.
Setting the stage, our caller had the hots for her new chiropractor.
They've already listened.
I know.
If my pleas didn't get them.
Yeah. All right, yeah. So she went with my advice, not Allie's. Went with the bad news first.
And 3 hours later, he said,
Haha, sad to hear you're getting a new chiropractor. Where is this new place you want to go? Boom.
bada bing.
He knew it was a joke. He played along with the joke.
He's
Amazing.
ready to go.
The shot got shot and it was a bullseye.
But she's nothing but net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3. That was a 3-pointer right there.
We've only had one miss.
That's true. But we
And it
knew
was
that
for-
was going to be a miss.
We didn't know. But we really wanted it to be off the backboard and in. Unfortunately, it did not go her way. But pretty good track record. My new sports show, Fandemonium, on Amazon's live platform called App, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. My co-host, Lindsay McCormick, and I talk sports, Packers, local sports, national sports, a little mix of pop culture, not really, mostly just sports. So all you sports fans, the link in the bio, you have to have an iPhone right now to use it. Eventually we'll be dropping them on a podcast feed so you can listen at your convenience. But right now they're just live. So come interact with us, talk some sports. It'll be a ton of fun. Live, 6 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget that next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, instead of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Ask Nick next Wednesday, part 2 of the Bachelorette bio breakdowns of the men from the season, and then a special full mediation episode on Thursday. All mediation couples. Audrina Patridge, everybody.
Wait, that is funny.
Yeah.
I've actually had my old dentist did that. Well, he texted me and I was
He
like,
hit up you.
is this my dentist asking me on a date? Yes.
Nice teeth.
Yeah.
Like as he's looking in my mouth, like you're gonna, I don't know.
I'm
It's
like,
just
you've seen all the wrong angles of me. Yeah.
Looks like what a great place to start it.
I guess,
Welcome,
right?
Audrina.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing great. So you had a dentist ask you out once.
I did. So he was very good looking, but I did not see him in that way. He's my dentist. And I remember leaving and I got a random text message and it was from him asking me. And I was like, did he go through he obviously went through the computer system, got my number. And then I felt so awkward. I had a boyfriend at the time and I felt so awkward going back. I'm like, do I switch dentist? Like, do I keep going?
Did you keep going?
No, I'm laying there with my mouth open and he's like, I'm like, this is kind of weird.
So you went back.
I did go back and I did feel uncomfortable a little bit. But then he ended up getting a girlfriend and we were just talking about our significant others. So it kind of like
You having a
schmoozed
boyfriend
over.
at the time probably helped.
Oh, yeah.
Because you could just blame it on that.
Yeah.
I wonder if he got in trouble because I feel like you're definitely not supposed to go through patient records, find their cell phone number, and ask you out.
I don't think so. I don't think he got in trouble, though. I didn't make it a big deal or like into something.
Yeah.
We can now.
What,
Well, no
what
one
type
will
of
know who.
what type of doctor would you most and least like to be hit on by?
A gynecologist.
That's
a
least,
guy.
right?
Oh, least. Yeah. What
Or
did you say? Most.
Most or least? Well, like
Oh,
which one would you like and which one would you hate? Gyno hate.
Gyno hate. That's
Yeah.
just weird if they're like down there like, oh, do you want to go out sometime?
Yeah.
Well, not down there.
I don't
but
know. Or calling you. I don't know. Most, what would you guys think?
You seem like anything they say to you. It's like you seem like a really great person. All you could be thinking about is why, what they.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like, you've just
Yeah.
seen my pelvic floor. You don't know that.
Yeah.
How's the cervix doing? I don't know. It's like weird. Sorry, Nick.
No, it's okay. Dentist would be up there for me.
Dentist
though,
is
too.
weird.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're just like your mouth's open.
An eye doctor is like nice and removed. That's not too
Oh,
intimate.
Yeah.
yeah, I'd date an eye doctor.
Yeah.
But we would date all these people. But
Yeah.
just if they were our doctors.
A dermatologist.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
love it if a dermatologist. Because I would also
Actually,
be so
yes.
honored if a dermatologist thought like I was attractive.
Yeah, because they're
They're like
think
good
they're-
skin.
More judgy of skin.
Of course.
Also,
Oh, yeah.
derms are always like derms are very like my sister didn't even want to go into derm because she's like, I can't look that pretty every day. Like they just look beautiful.
They're radiant.
Yeah.
I'm with you girls, dermatologists.
Do
for sure.
dermatologists have to have good skin? Because if they like walk in,
They do skin, they do facials, they have their makeup,
mean,
they have their eyelash
If they
extensions. Like they're
don't,
beautiful.
I wouldn't go to them if they didn't have good skin. Because you wouldn't want to go to a doctor where you're like, whoa, you're like a skin doctor, but like, what's going on? Can you help me?
But then
I
there's
don't
also
know.
like an element of not being intimidated or feeling bad about yourself if they're like more relatable.
yeah,
You're like,
True.
okay, you also get acne. Like you're a human.
Yeah.
they're like,
true.
yeah, no, it was worse before. Let me show you the before and after. Yeah, I don't know.
What about you?
Yeah, my gyno. No, I wouldn't want to date my gyno. Yeah, I mean, anyone who's like had to poke and prong me,
Yeah.
probably not.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Anyway, how do you want to start this, Audrina? Do you
On
want us
that
to go
note.
deep dive into your life and get all the juicy details, or should we warm up with some pop culture discussions and just keep it light at first?
I mean, how
How do you
deep
want-
are we going to go right now?
Oh,
The
we-
episode's
going
called
deeper.
Going Deeper.
Oh, goodness.
we want all your secrets.
All right, let's
Yeah.
warm up to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, she's open. Great.
go.
Yeah, she
I don't-
didn't say no.
So I don't know if you've been following the Sammy Sheen OnlyFans saga.
Are you familiar with that?
No,
Okay,
but
let's
I
update you.
do know what OnlyFans is.
Sammy Sheen, daughter of Denise Richards and Charlie Sheen, turned 18, got an OnlyFans account. There was a lot of judgment on the internet. Initially, Charlie Sheen was not really for the idea, kind of making a statement saying, I can't stop her because she's 18 and doesn't live under my roof, but I hope she does this with integrity. While her mom came out in supports and made a lot of parallels to how is OnlyFans that different from Playboy or other magazines, kind of celebrating her own autonomy. Most recently, Denise Richards has now joined OnlyFans.
Like
Like
solidarity.
like daughter,
of
like
her
mother.
daughter.
Yes. And then also Charlie Sheen has since said that Denise illuminated a variety of salient points that, in my haste, I overlooked and
wow.
dismissed.
What a statement.
Did he bust out a
Wow.
thesaurus for that one?
Oh, for sure.
He illuminated.
Oh my!
She illuminated.
Wait, repeat that one more time.
I know. I was like, wait, what did you just say?
Illuminated a variety of salient points that, in my haste, I overlooked
haste.
and dismissed. And now more than
That's
ever.
good co-parenting right there.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
said, and he
He's
continued,
supportive.
now more than ever, it's essential that Sammy have a united parental front to rely upon as she embarks on this new adventure. From this moment forward, she'll have it abundantly.
Wow.
You know, that's Charlie being like, I'm just going to support the shit out of her, and she'll be like not interested in doing it anymore.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's usually what happens.
It's not rebellion.
Yeah. He's like, all right, yeah. Charlie's going to go on OnlyFans too. Everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
Well, if you're looking to be entertained by other people's dating stories and often cringe-worthy moments, check out Queen of Hearts, a new dating show that gives you a front row seat to hear all the incredible highs and cringe-worthy lows of modern dating. And when I say here, that's right, we're talking about the voices. Voices only on this one. It's like, can't check out their six-pack abs.
Nope.
Because that's what we all do, usually.
You
Yeah.
can't base it on the physical.
Are you a big six-pack ab gal, Allie?
Sure.
You like a six-pack?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
Some people like
The dad bod?
it's unfair to dads. Why do we have to?
It's just what it's called.
Each week, the queen of our hearts, RuPaul's Drag Race veteran Jujubee, will help these blind daters skip the standard cliche dating small talk like traffic sucks, the weather is great,
Ugh. You're not learning anything about people like that.
but sexy games, you will.
Yeah.
So let's see if these people find loves without six-pack abs, but sexy games.
Sexy games.
At the end of each episode, we'll find out who is one step closer and who is headed back to the apps. Follow Queen of Hearts wherever you get your podcast, or you can listen early on Amazon Music and ad-free by subscribing to Wondery Plus in Apple Podcasts or the Wondery app. You have a daughter,
I do.
not at the age to do an OnlyFans.
No,
No.
she just turned 6
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
other day. Absolutely not.
It's like a live stream of her
That
playing
came
with
out
her.
weird. No, but like in terms of supporting your child, I got to imagine even now, like things as parenting, I haven't been a parent yet. I can only imagine what it's like. You have all these ideas of what you're going to do as a parent, and then the kid shows up, and I'm sure a lot of that changes.
Yeah.
How do you balance between trying to be a supportive, inspirational mom, all while, having, certain boundaries and rules, especially in a climate that's all about kind of, we're very judgmental of being judgmental. these days, especially when it comes to like parents and things like that. So how have you managed that, and how would you, for example, in this situation, like your daughter turns 18 and she wants to do an OnlyFans, like would you struggle with that, or would you try to support her? Would you start one in solidarity?
Well,
How would you go
hopefully
about
by
it?
the time my daughter's 18, that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I
there'll be
don't know.
something else.
There's going to be something else. Who knows? I don't even want to go there. But I think with my daughter now, it's just teaching her those morals and values. And there's so much more that you can do with yourself and who you are than making money off of photos or naked, whatever. I don't know what people do on OnlyFans, to each his own, but I do with Denise Richards, people do have bikini shots and lingerie on Instagram, and now on OnlyFans they get paid for that, right?
Yeah, it's unclear. It's not all nudity, and it's definitely unclear whether she plans on doing that. It might just be exclusive content.
I mean, I've done a lot of things. She can learn from my mistakes. And I wrote about a lot of this stuff in my book as well. So one day she'll read it and I'll guide her through it. But at the end of the day, it's the choices you make in your life that are going to determine your path in the future. So if you want to do that, do it. Just know what the consequences could be. And you have to kind of deal with that.
Are there things that you've done in the past, whether it's on the hills or in the past, that you thought, I've learned to live with this because I've done it, there's nothing I can do about it, but what would be a story you would tell to your daughter about something you've done that you later realized that you regretted?
God, when I was 16, 17, I was coming up to LA all the time. Orange County's not that far. And a lot of my friends were models and actors. So I was up here and I was kind of guided and peer pressured in certain situations that I wish I could say no and be strong with my no and not fall into peer pressure with, topless photos or this and that, which, in Europe, I mean, everybody's topless. It's not a big deal. But here, especially, 20 years ago, it's a huge deal if your boobs are out. But back then it was devastating for me when those pictures came out, and I trusted the photographer, and like all my friends were models and this and that. So it was normal, but then people spin it into a judgmental, negative way. And then it makes you feel shameful and bad about yourself in a way. But then, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's navigating your early 20s and teens is hard. And those choices you do sometimes have to live with. You learn from them, but then you can teach other people from what you've been through.
Yeah. How did you deal with that when that stuff came
I was
out?
with Justin at the time, and I remember we were laying out at the beach, and they came out. The photographer that was a female friend, sold them for money. And Justin was like, who cares? You look great. Like, who cares? They're boobs. Everybody has boobs. Like, stop freaking out about it. So for me, I had to put things in perspective where it was like, all right, who cares? And now it's like, even at the pool in Vegas, sometimes there's a slip or like, who cares?
Yeah.
That's the betrayal, though, of a friend doing that.
Yeah.
Sounds like do you feel like as you've learned who is trustworthy and who's not, like, have you been able to maintain an openness and like a faith in people, or have there been so many experiences of people abusing that trust that you're a little bit more closed off?
I'm definitely more closed off. I don't trust a lot of people. So I have a small inner circle, and I've learned over the years, I'm 37 now. So I've been through a lot to know the red flags of who I can trust and who not to, and not just to like impulsively let someone in without knowing who they really are or their motives.
Yeah, I think it's tougher. I don't know how it was for you, but I think people are the most vulnerable when they don't have like their core group of friends, especially if they're moving to a new city like LA, or they're kind of trying to expand their circle and their friends, and that's when you can be kind of susceptible and vulnerable to being taken advantage of.
Because you just go with the flow, which isn't always the right thing to do.
Going with the flow. Yeah, I've never been a good go with the flow person, and in a lot of ways I'm glad. Sometimes I wish I could go with the flow, but it has protected me.
Yeah, that's good.
Often.
There's pros and cons.
Are there specific times coming to mind?
I know. Let's
but
hear
a
one of
lot
your
of
stories.
stuff that like Audrina talked about were not like no one's asked me to take off my top, but
It's like you did
He's
that
like,
for
I
free.
just do it. Yeah.
Which I did it again on the hills.
there have been plenty of times where I'm just like, nah, it feels like that's gonna come back
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
You're gonna regret that. So I'm good.
See, but then you don't fall into peer pressure.
I've
which
never
is
been a
good.
peer pressure person.
That's awesome.
I've been I was always very defiant with peer pressure. I was more like you go first.
Totally. Well, speaking about things coming back and potential regrets, I don't know if you've been following the story about on Southern Charm, Naomi, who came back to the show, and Craig. A big plot point of the season is that they hooked up after having been broken up for a little while. Both of them had recently ended kind of newer relationship, so kind of a rebound moment, but they hooked up in Vegas. And I'm curious if you think there is ever a way where hooking up with an ex can go well, because both of them described it as a very sort of 1 or 2 time thing, and it gave
They're
them
not
closure
getting back
and
together.
comfort.
This is just like
they
they
made
were
it.
in a relationship and now they're just fuck buddies.
Well, it had happened. It's not ongoing, and it only happened. They said a 1 or 2 off situation, which is like obviously that means 2 or
Sounds
3.
like a promotable
Because if it's
moment
only
for their new
once,
show.
it's totally that, and it's
Yeah.
gotten
Yeah.
like blown up out of proportion. But it does raise interesting questions because
A
they were
couple of reality
so
TV veterans here smell bullshit.
I know. It's definitely great for ratings.
Yeah.
totally, and it's just they both talk about it as an experience of closure, and so I'm curious.
Wait,
Like
That's
one
closure?
last time to see
Maybe. I
what
could
it
see
could
that.
be.
Yeah, like
how
and-
many times have you hooked up with an ex?
Oh my gosh. Well, Justin, it was off and on again all the time, but we were so immature, and like when you go back, it never works out in my experience. Like it's just kind of a waste of time, and then you get attached again and have these emotions, and you could get confused. So it's better just not to go there. Leave the door closed.
If there was a gap, like hooking up with an ex where like we hadn't seen each other for a while and then some time passed, I kind of remember wishing I left it in the past
Yeah.
because it didn't age as well
Mm-hmm.
as I.
And also people grow too, and being in other relationships, it's almost you grow as a person, and then you go back to your past, and then it's like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. What were we thinking?
I do think though, like, tell me what you think, but catching up with an ex can be a positive thing. Now, don't hook up with them, but if you've been investing in yourself, and you want to get a progress report.
True. I think
you
I know
sit
where
down
you're
with
going.
them, you've really been working on it yourself, and they're just like, man, you look great. And you come and you're just like, you're not even there to date them. You're there to just catch up with them. They might be there to date you, and all they do is just tell you how great you look. And then you're just like, oh, it's great to catch up, and you never talk to them again. That can be a nice little pep talk for you.
True. Or it's like I've also talked to I'm friends with a couple of my exes who are now married, and when we do see each other out, they put things in perspective too, or like, wow, you've really grown as a person, or it is nice to
So, yeah,
hear
it's a
that.
nice progress
thank
report,
you, because
yeah.
you knew me 15 years ago, and to hear that, like, that's good.
It feels good, yeah. Like you've been doing the work. You never want to hear
You haven't changed.
or things will get better. It'll pick up.
yeah, is everything okay with
Yeah,
you?
just in a rut.
Do you have a favorite ex?
A favorite ex? No.
Do you have a favorite ex?
No.
I think I read somewhere on the internet that like everyone has a favorite ex, or an ex who they feel maybe less competitive or any kind of.
I got together with my ex in April, and it was a lovely 24 hours where we acted like a couple, and then I dropped him off at the airport.
Did you hook up?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was great. I was like, see you next time.
See you in 2 to 4 years.
Exactly. I was like,
But
me
like
no
exes,
pressure.
like people I've dated, I definitely don't have a favorite ex. Like there are like people I've like casually dated where if I run into them, I'm like, they're cool, they're great. It didn't work out with them. Like I have a couple like women that like for whatever reason we didn't like it didn't like develop into
Progress,
anything. And I have a soft spot, I suppose, where I was just like, you're great. Like some guys
Yeah, I
can
have
be
that
really lucky.
too.
It wasn't, we're not going to be a thing. Kinda.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And in my experience, it's like I always gave them another chance. Or if it didn't work out because of our schedules and our filming and this and that, we'd break up and then get back together and see if it would work again. And it was just the same thing. It's like, what are we doing?
Did you ever have like you've been in LA for a while. You were part of an insanely popular show, especially for its time.
Yeah.
Like, did you have any like celebrity crush moments where you had a chance to like meet or potentially date a celebrity crush that either did or didn't go anywhere?
Like a celebrity crush.
Like you ran into a party and you're like, oh my God, that's
I feel like I've met Leo.
everyone's met Leo.
I
If
know.
you've been to
and,
Hyde.
Like if you've been to Hyde, you see, especially being in LA, you see everyone all the time. So it's not like
But did you have a crush on any of them and shoot your shot?
no.
Mm.
But I did. Not that I have a crush on Anthony Hopkins, but
I mean,
when I worked at, he's one of the only people that I was ever starstruck over. Him and Michelle Pfeiffer are like,
ooh,
I love
big
them.
ones.
So those people, I just feel like they're so respected and they're so good at what they do. But everyone else you see in LA all the time, it's just kind of like someone you're in the industry with and you see them all the time. You're just like, hey, what's up? Just because you have mutual friends. So yeah, I can't think of anyone. I haven't met anyone that I have like a crush on yet.
Are you someone who shoots your shot if there is someone that you're interested in, or
Yeah,
would you
or
much rather be pursued?
I'd rather be pursued. I'm very traditional in that sense. But being on the hills, there were moments where I was pressured to go up to someone and like shoot the shoot. And I was like, okay, hey, I'm Audrina. Whatever, like you want to play pool or you want to, I don't know. We just like walk
I'm
up and
Audrina,
talk
whatever.
to
Do you
him.
want to play pool? I love it.
No,
Yeah.
not
What a
that.
line.
It's
That-
casual. It's
Smooth, yeah.
effortless.
Not like that. It was like I had to go back in time. I'm thinking of a specific moment where we went out with the girls and there were these guys at the bar and they kept looking at us and we kept looking at them, but no one would make the move. So I had to go up to them and like introduce myself and then ask him to come over and let's play pool. But there's a twist to it. Whoever loses has to buy a round of shots. So we actually won. So they lost and had to buy
Buy you
us, which we
shots.
were really impressed that we won, to be honest.
Do you think?
They let you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
No.
'Cause
There
maybe
was
you're
a
really good
couple
pool
that
player.
were
I don't-
really
I
competitive.
I don't want to diminish your
Yeah.
pool skills. I'm terrible at pool.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I'm so bad that I feel like it's bad for women the way I play pool.
Well, we thought we were bad too until we
'Cause
won.
I feel like there's a stereotype of like, oh, girls at the bar, like and
Oh, there's
I
some
really
incredible women pool players.
I know it, but I feel like I am terrible.
Amanda's not one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really one to go up to someone, and I don't know. Also, I've having a daughter now and being a single mom, it's like it's a whole different ballgame. It's so different.
Are you currently single and dating?
Yes.
How is that?
It's interesting. I'm trying to navigate this whole new experience with having a daughter and dating and like when do you introduce them or how many it's hard too getting babysitters and driving to LA or making plans and like a lot of guys too don't have experience with women with kids or they don't understand that they're a priority and sometimes you might have to leave halfway through the date. You might have to bail last minute. Like it just happens. So it's been interesting.
How are you going about meeting men? Are you on dating apps at all?
No, I've never been on a dating app.
Never?
No. It's literally just through friends of friends and going out and just meeting people.
Do you have any, because I think that's something a lot of people say both on the show and in life is just not really liking dating apps, but feeling like they have no other choices. So when you go out and meet someone and are able to turn that into a date or a potential date, what's your approach? And do you have any like strategic tips to share for people who are also trying to do that?
I mean, for me, it's like I have to get it out. Like I have a daughter, I'm divorced. Like let's just put that out there because that scares a lot of guys away. It's too much for them to handle. So for me, it's kind of getting those facts out first because I don't want to waste my time either. And also it's like I only go on 1 or 2 dates to really know if I like the person and if there's not a connection or a red flag or anything, like I usually like that's it. I just don't have time to waste anymore.
Well, how has dating evolved for you? I mean, obviously having a kid and being divorced, you mentioned that you bring that up. So that's something you kind of just put out there.
Yeah.
But other than that, what are some of the things that you're looking for compared to the past? Like have your priorities changed in terms of when you're sitting down on a date, first or second date, and you're trying to figure out, who am I dating? What do I want to get to know? Like what are things that you're prioritizing now that might be different than the past?
I mean, in the past, my 20s, I had no responsibilities. I was wild. I was carefree. I was rebellious. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Now I'm very responsible. It's like I need someone that is consistent, that has integrity, dignity, loyalty, respect, and communicates. It all comes down to communication a lot of the time too. Like no games.
No games.
No games.
But I do
I
feel
don't
like
know.
communication gets brought up so much as being an essential component of relationships. Do you have like specific examples
Yeah.
when someone has communicated well, or it's like stood out to you as, oh, this is exactly what I mean when I say I value communication and openness?
Yeah, it's like just, there's been some guys that I've dated where it just seemed too good to be true in the beginning. And they started sending my daughter all these toys and stuff to my house all the time. And I'm like, oh, you haven't met her, but what are you doing? like I
That's-
barely know you.
That's a lot.
But that's
Yeah.
nice. It was a lot all at once. And then he just agreed with everything I said. And like, it's almost like he Googled me and found, I'm a Taurus. So everything was about my horoscope and like who I was. And like, he based everything on that. And I was like, okay, like, who are you? Like, what do you like? Like, you agree with everything. Like, let's talk about something like the feelings of, like, what do you think on this subject? Like, don't agree with me.
Mhm.
So
So,
what happened?
it ended,
He's like, I got nothing.
which was fine. It just was way too heavy, way too fast. And I felt so pressured and locked in a corner. I'm like, I can't do this. This is too much. Like, I can't. And I also don't like to rush into things. I just, from being married already and getting married because, I thought it was the right thing to do, having a daughter, I'm not about rushing into things. What's the point?
What was your biggest takeaway? You mentioned you're being married, obviously, and your divorce was pretty public. You had to file a restraining order against him. Like, how are things now? Or do you have any communication? Like, how it must be a challenge to try to co-parent, but like, as someone who's had their own challenges with your ex, but you also share a daughter, how do you go about trying to make sure your child has a relationship with their father versus protecting yourself and having just a healthy,
Yeah.
good mental health with your relationships? What is that like? And do you have any advice for anyone listening who might be experiencing, or something that you've experienced in the past?
Yeah. We've been through a lot and a lot I can't really talk about. But at this point, as long as my daughter is happy and, she sees her dad every now and then, and you don't ever bad talk the other, like that's her father. I have respect for him as her father. We don't get along at all. And I think as far as co-parenting, we use an app called Talking Parents. And so there's no texting or phone calls or anything. It's good for us and for our daughter. I think for co-parenting, I'll, give him the photos, and we keep it all about our daughter. I try to keep it all about our daughter. Strictly, it's almost like a business. Like, I don't want to hear your thoughts or opinions about me. Keep that to yourself. I'm only speaking to you about our daughter, and that's it. That's it.
And what's the app called?
Talking Parents.
Is that something that's like available to anyone?
It is.
Like, I'm imagining that must be pretty helpful.
It's
for
so
some.
helpful. It really is. And with scheduling things and all of that. So it's way easier than if you miss a text message or whatever. This has the time and when it was read and all of that. So it keeps things like clean and like factual, and it's all there.
That's great.
Yeah. So that really helps me.
So recently it was talked about how The Hills is having some sort of new reboot show.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately,
Yeah.
you and the
we
original
got-
cast won't be on it. You're not thrilled with that. We're not thrilled with it either.
Yeah. It was.
But so like, do you know what's going on? Are they just like basically, is this like Saved by the Bell, the new class for a bunch of like, or the 90210 new class? Those never worked out.
I know. I feel like a lot of those shows, they don't really work out. We had no idea that they were doing that show, so it was a big surprise when we saw it all over Instagram. And we're like, "What?
Is it
Like,
coming? Is it already been filmed or something?
I think they're filming it right now, but with The Hills New Beginnings, we had a cast of 14, and we changed it from 30-minute episodes to an hour long. And for us, with 14, that was even hard to film because there were so many storylines and so much that it was just too much going on. So I'm really interested in seeing how The New Hills, is going to be with 20 people. I don't know. But also, they're all young. They're going out. It's probably going to be a whole different kind of TV show.
Yeah, or more maybe like closer to what it
What it
used
was.
to what it used to be.
Yeah.
With more people bouncing around in between relationships and
Yeah, more to film. And, now it kind of ours ran its course. And we got to the point where everybody's either having kids or married or divorced or, there's no more storylines to really, and we can't just do crazy, wild stuff anymore and not care about our image or what it's going to do to our families or kids because we're older now. It's different. So.
Do you talk to Spencer Pratt ever?
No.
You don't keep any, like his
I talked to Heidi.
You talk to Heidi?
Yeah.
He's recently been like on TikTok doing a bunch of like recaps on the hills.
I've heard.
You haven't seen any of them?
I've had a few people, and actually another podcast I did, the guy started reading me stuff and he's like, so how do you feel about this? And I was like, what? I have no idea. Like I do not.
It seems like he's done it recently.
Spencer is one of a kind and I love Heidi. I'm close to Heidi. But Spencer's Spencer and I have nothing bad to say about him.
Okay.
Like I really don't care what he says.
Who are you closest with from the hills?
Probably Brody and Jason and Ashley and then Kristen.
And you guys still talk a lot, just keep in touch?
Yeah.
Any stories from the past where you guys, I mean, you probably have shared all your
stories.
stories.
We have so many. Well, our podcast, we just announced it today, but it airs July 12th. So Brody, Frankie, and I talk about everything. And we're starting from the very beginning and watching every episode and giving the scoop. We have our old producers come on, calling us out and telling us kind of why they did this scene this way. And it's, the fans call in and ask questions. Nothing's off the table. So
recently, Christine Quinn went on the Call Her Daddy podcast and talked about, is he the head producer, Adam DeVillo?
Oh, yeah.
And she had some not nice things to say about him. So she what did she say about him? Like there's been complaints filed against him, multiple complaints. And then she accused him of telling her to kill herself.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you what was your experience like with Adam? Because she kind of suggested that he was pretty aggressive and manipulative. And then it sounds like Spencer, at least.
Well, they had a lot of issues with him.
He didn't say anything specifically, but he seemed to want to support Christine's comments about Adam. But what was your experience like with him?
My experience with Adam was never that negative. He was, come on, it's a reality show. You have to instigate and manipulate. Otherwise, it's going to be boring. But the pressure and some of the things that were done in the past were very manipulative, where we did have to get our lawyers involved and sit down and be like, listen, we get this is a TV show. We're willing to do and say whatever. But at the same time, you can't, it's not cool to push this or you can't do that.
What was one of the things that you guys had to push back on?
Well, there was one time in Miami. We were filming there for Super Bowl and Kristen was out hanging out, partying, and she was with a guy, and she didn't show up for a couple of the episodes, and so they're trying to bribe us with a fancy designer bag, and we were like, no, we're not doing that. And Lo was like, I'll do it. So she went on camera and started talking about Kristen and putting things out there that weren't true about her doing drugs and all that, and it was on the cover of Us. It was all over. It was so bad.
Right, so they bribed her with clothes, or they bribed her. What they bribed her with isn't all
purse.
that.
Yeah.
But they basically bribed her to make up stories about Kristen.
Yeah. So that was a moment that we all were just like, okay, enough is enough.
Wow.
So we all got together with our lawyers and we just kind of had to put our foot down. But, it's like some people are willing to do anything, just be like, oh, I don't care. I'll do it. I'll say whatever, and then other people are like, well, no, because it's going to affect who I really am in the real world. People believe everything on the reality TV show sometimes, even though some of it's manipulated and hyped up for the sake of ratings. And it just gets to the point where you start getting pissed off at the producers.
Did you ever have something that you said or did that you look back and regret and thought, that didn't represent my friend the best way or myself, that you wish you would want to clear the air on?
I think there was a few things. There's a lot of different things. And I clear the air a lot in my book choices, but
give us a tease.
A lot of it was like the blank stares. You know, The Hills was known for blank stares. And our producer came on and talked about why they loved the blank stares.
And describe for our audience what do you mean by a blank stare?
So basically on the show, you'll be doing a scene with someone and you're filming for like sometimes 3 hours
Sure.
straight, doing a lunch. And then they edit and chop it up. And sometimes in editing, instead of showing your full sentence, they'll just show you giving a weird look when she says something else. And it just amplifies that scene
Sure.
and makes it better. But and then they'll show like the blank stares, like we'll just be staring at each other at the end of the lunch, staring at each other. And it's like,
So you would do
what?
like 5 minutes of B-roll staring that they would use to edit in?
I think that was just from like watching each other talk, and then they take that and it's like, boom, boom, ooh, the drama, But I don't know, from an entertainment standpoint, I get it. It's funny. And in the moment when you're young and going through it, it's like, oh, I can't believe they did this, or why did they do that? You're making me look dumb. But then you get through it and you're like, wow, that was actually a great scene.
Yeah, it's tough to try to manage that in the moment, but it sounds like you got through it for the most part unscathed.
We got through it. There was a lot of ups and downs with the producers where we'd have to call our publicists or lawyers and be like, they're not letting me leave, because they really would want me. In particular, there was this one scene Kristen and I had to do. We had a fight over Justin. And I was like, I have a boyfriend. I don't want to keep fighting over Justin. I don't want to keep acting like I care. Like him and Kristen have their thing for the show. Let them do their thing. But for that scene, we needed to get into it about him. So I kept refusing and I wanted to leave and they blocked my car in. And I was like, get me out of here. I don't want to do it. And so I talked to Kristen and we're like, let's just do it because she wanted to leave too. We're like, okay, let's just do it and get out of here. So we did it and then we left.
How many moments are on the Hills that are a result of two people like just being worn out and just saying, let's just do it and get it over with?
Towards the end, there was quite a few where there's a lot of pressure and it's just like, okay, I'll just do it. This is where maybe we needed you to be like, no, I'm not doing it. Like we were always just like, come on, it'll make a good scene. Like just do it. It's for the show. Like you want good ratings so you end up just doing it and then you deal with the aftermath.
It kind of it depends. I'm sure like, being on The Bachelor, there's definitely stuff that you're just like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. But it was always, I would only agree to stuff like that if it didn't like hurt anyone, especially myself, but like it was ultimately just like, yeah, sure, like whatever, like it's not affecting me. But it sounds like in some of these cases, like I can't imagine having a significant other in the real world. Like you had a boyfriend at the time.
It was the hardest.
And then having to...
Like,
how did your boyfriend deal with it at the time?
He didn't watch the show. It's like, please don't watch it.
That's a good start.
Yeah, and I would tell him everything, but he also is in the industry, so he kind of understood the entertainment value and TV aspect to it. And I would literally show up to film, do my scene, and leave right after. So there was no funny business or anything that was untrustworthy.
Man.
But it made it hard, like when you're trying to have a relationship off camera, but they won't come on camera, but you don't really want them to because you don't want to get them in the mix of the TV drama because it does change your whole relationship with people being in front of a camera, I think.
Yeah. And when you started on the show, you got scouted and some of them were already friends. So like you were kind of the outsider at first?
Whitney and I were the first LA friends. So Lauren and Heidi were already friends from FITM and they Laguna Beach, and then they went to FITM in San Fran.
That's the fashion school, right?
Yeah, FITM is the fashion, yeah. So they were moving to LA, and Lauren was getting her spinoff show for The Hills, and Adam was scouting where I lived, and that's how I got brought onto the show. I met him at the pool, and 2 weeks later, we started filming, and I was one of their first LA friends. Because I already had a job at Coyote Smashbox Studios and I had my go-tos like Thursday nights, Monday nights, where to go, and all my friends in LA. So and Whitney was from LA. So between us, we just like went out and brought him into the circle and all became friends.
Wild stuff. What do you think is one thing I always like when I get asked questions like this? whether it's critics that you have had over the years, like what do you think is something that you would like people to know about you that sometimes you feel like people misunderstand about you, or it's like, being being a reality TV, public figure, at least me and myself and my peers, it's always like, there's always a handful of things that you see written or talked about, whether it's critics, and you're like, that's not anything like who I am. Is there stuff like that where you feel like, you feel misrepresented, or what's the one thing that people might get wrong about you that's completely not who you are?
I think, and again, in my book, Choices, I talked a lot about this too, because I've always just been the one, when I read things like back in the day before Instagram and all that, there was like Perez Hilton's blog. That's where you find news out. And then all the weeklies, it's all the gossip stuff. And there was always things put out there that weren't true about me. And I was just like, whatever, I don't care. Like, you have to have thick skin and you brush it off. And it's like the people for me that I did care about, like, that's who I would clear things up with, or they would come to me. But everybody else, I was like, whether I clear it up or say my opinion, people are going to believe what they want to believe. So whatever. And I just bit my tongue. Especially recently, I've had to bite my tongue about a lot of things with my divorce and what I was going through. And even with the show sometimes, because just felt like, why am I going to keep defending myself and trying to clear something up when it's already out there and people are going to believe what they want to believe? But I cleared everything up in my book.
But how would you want like your best friend to describe you who's hooking you up with a date? Like, how would you so you're played the role of your friend, they're setting you up on a date. How would you want your friend to describe you? Like, how do you want people to know who you are?
I do have a couple of friends that I've told, they're like guy friends, and they're like, Audrina, there is so much more to you and so much more depth that people don't know, that you hide from people. But again, I just don't let people in. I think they would describe me as, witty, quirky, fun, spontaneous, very caring, sometimes too much. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I just can't help it. And I'm committed. I'm a very loyal person. And whoever's in my life is like family. I will have your back. I will help you with whatever you need. I'll wake up at 4 a.m. Like, if I love you and you're in my circle, like, you're my family.
It's pretty good.
Do you want to talk about JT dance moves?
Have you seen that? Have you been following that?
You guys, I live in a 6-year-old world. I don't follow that. I have no idea.
Justin Timberlake has been recently dragged for dancing, and I felt bad for him.
Yeah, and he even issued an apology.
He issued an apology.
What do you
right
mean
here.
dragged for dancing?
Right now, everyone's mad at Justin Timberlake because of the Janet Jackson stuff.
From Super Bowl forever ago?
Yeah. It's society's fault what happened to Janet Jackson, not Justin Timberlake. I mean, because basically everyone's just like, nothing bad happened to Justin Timberlake. His career essentially took off from that. And certainly Justin didn't do anything to protect Janet. So I guess you could criticize him for that. But a lot of people, Janet Jackson's career took a dive after that. So there's a lot of...
Didn't she just have a nip slip, though?
It was like a wardrobe
Yeah.
malfunction.
How was that? How did it take a dive from that?
Well, at different
sad.
times back then,
Sad, yeah.
society did not appreciate the nipple back then. And but now it seems like, Justin's getting dragged. I don't know if it's just because of that. He did he cheat on Jessica? I don't know.
That was a rumor. I don't know if it
That was a rumor. But anyways, lately I've noticed that like Justin has some like spotlights on him, and people are enjoying trying to point out mistakes he's making. Even
these dance moves.
These
I mean,
dance
they're not
moves.
the strongest dance moves, but it's like,
Oh, he was
just kinda
getting
like,
absolutely
whatever.
flamed. Like, just people, there's all these videos of the people like mocking his dances to the point where like he basically got shamed doing an apology. Do it like
he shamed us one time.
Justin.
Us in the Hills. So we were at, I think it was the VMAs, and we were presenting an award, and he won. And I like Justin Timberlake, but I never loved his music. I was more of the rocker, like indie, whatever. So the pop stuff was never my jam. But Lauren and Whitney were obsessed. And so when he came up on stage to get the award, he didn't say thank you. He grabbed the trophy or whatever, and he like started saying on MTV or on the cameras to MTV, like, bring back, you could probably Google this, but it's like, bring back music videos, like MTV, like no more reality shows, and started going on a rant. And we were standing there like, oh my gosh, we feel so stupid. And we ran off stage. He went the other way, and we were just kind of like, Lauren was just dumbfounded, like, I can't believe that just happened. Oh my gosh.
He was on stage with you?
Yes.
And
But
he
we
said
were
this?
standing there next to him as he was saying that because we presented him the award.
Do you think he had any idea, or was he just aloof?
He had to have. I mean, it was like we were introduced as reality star, The Hills girls, blah, 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 blah. Like we were presenting.
Maybe
and
Justin
then,
deserves this. That's kind of a mean
Maybe
thing to
it's
do.
karma?
I couldn't imagine mocking the people who presented an award.
I mean, I love that you're giving him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he didn't know who we were, but I don't know. I was still like,
I
okay.
don't know. Yeah, maybe he was.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just very humiliating.
Do we have the video?
There's a quote of one of the things he said was, play more damn videos. I want to challenge MTV to play more videos.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly,
So
but
it sounds
was
like maybe
reality.
he felt the music wasn't as present in MTV.
Well, and that's also when we were like, you know, that's the Hills was huge. Like we were on the cover of Rolling Stones, and like it was everywhere. Like we were famous overnight. Like it happened so fast. But we, you know, being fans of these amazing artists, as you get to know them and you have these encounters being in the industry, it's like you start looking at people differently.
I think Justin Timberlake might have been kind of a jackass in his earlier days.
There's probably a little bit of arrogance, I'm sure. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think people get a pass for being a jackass in their like early 20s?
I don't think celebrities. I think everyone gets a little bit of a yeah.
Yeah. People change. You go through life and like learn from a lot of
Right.
Yeah.
Let's not cancel just even the ability to like say I'm sorry and growth. But yeah, I think we all have been probably right. I'm sure you've had moments where you've looked back and go, I was probably feeling myself a little too much in that moment, and I might have been rude or inconsiderate. Maybe not on purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like I have no idea what Justin Timberlake was thinking in that moment, but what he was probably not thinking about is anyone else but himself.
Just himself.
Right? And I think as a result, that can cause collateral damage and just being inconsiderate, you know? And I think as you get older, you can be more mindful of that.
Yeah.
You know, you hear people's stories. But yeah, I'm more than willing to give people a pass on how they do any of us want to be like,
I don't want to be judged for me in my 20s.
Locked in for like everything we did in our 20s.
No.
And like as we get older, be like, no, that's who you are.
No
that's
way.
That's just like no self-growth or personal development, you know?
And that's how you have self-growth, is going through these crazy moments where you're like, wow, I just learned a huge lesson from that.
Right? You know, like those humbling moments where you realize, it seems like Justin's going through it now for what he did 10 or 15 years ago. And because like the internet has realized this man was never held accountable for some of these like petulant things he did. Yeah. And now they're just like finding things to like shit on. Because at first it's just like, what's wrong with this? But like
people really do care about everything. Like even digging up the past, like their opinions, and it's crazy. Like they'll either have your back or they won't, but everything is brought to the surface. You're not getting away from anything. So be prepared.
I'm curious if there is a cast member who you feel like was the most misportrayed on the show, like someone whose image on the show really differed from the way you knew them.
Not really, because we all were ourselves, but then sometimes we all amped it up, or we had to like improvise, you know, improv act.
There is, I don't know if you're aware, there is an entire Reddit thread about your style on the show in comparison to your other castmates.
Oh, God.
And everyone was very
I apologize.
Is this good or bad?
Yeah, when someone says Reddit and I get anxiety.
No,
I'm sure it's great.
Everyone was very pro your style. I pulled some quotes for you.
Wait, that's awesome.
Someone said, I agree. Audrina's clothes on the OG Hills are super cute. Many outfits could still be worn today. I would describe her style as classic and practical with a rough punk edge. Someone else said, Audrina's style has really aged well and seems timeless.
Yeah,
So I
I
didn't know
still
if you had
kind of
any
dress similar.
like fashion advice. How do you have a timeless fashion taste?
I just, I buy a lot of solid colors because you could rewear them and you could like even this long dress, I could put a hoodie over it and tie it and it's like a
Mhm.
dress. I just like to dress classic, like sleek and sexy, but with that edge. Like it
Mhm.
has to have a little bit of an edge.
People also were joking around about you potentially becoming a real housewife.
No.
And so I was if you could join one other
That was
current
a
show.
fast no.
Yeah, if you could join one other show currently on air, what would it be?
I don't watch TV. I know this is terrible. I literally watch whatever my daughter
She's
watches.
like The Wiggles.
Oh my God, no.
But no more reality TV for you.
I did hosting. I was on a show on NBC for 2 years, a travel show, and I loved that. I've done a few movies. That was fun. But I just feel like reality is not reality anymore. I just feel like if you're going to do reality, you really have to be prepared to like step it up and be extra because it has to be entertaining. And it's very stressful. And I feel like I did that for so long that it would depend what kind of reality show. If it's like a super dramatic show, probably not. I've been through enough drama in my life at this point that I'm ready for peace. So if it was like, I don't know, about love or educational or kids or interior design, I don't know. There's so many other different kinds of reality shows that I would be up for instead of going into a show like The Hills was where it's
Drama.
based on drama.
Mhm.
So maybe it was just a blessing that they went with the new cast.
Yeah, I think we were all like surprised by it, but also like, I guess I can't speak for everyone, but I was okay with it.
It's like not getting invited to the party you probably didn't want to go to anyways.
Exactly.
You're just like, but,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Audrina, are you down to help us with office texting hours?
Yes.
Texting office hours? Did I say that backwards? My dyslexia.
Same thing. We got
Yeah.
it.
All right, let's get to our caller. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's your name?
I'm Jenna. I'm 30.
Hi, Jenna.
I need help drafting a text to a girlfriend of mine. We were super close, and then we had an instance happen, and kind of weird texting back and forth. And I just like need help knowing, do I carry on or do I kind of let this die out?
Okay, so we don't even know if we need to send a text because you guys have been basically fighting via text back and forth.
Not fighting per se, definitely having a hard time understanding each other, but there hasn't been fighting. It's been pretty cordial, like wishing each other happy birthday and stuff like that. But
Okay.
Have you acknowledged what happened?
Yeah, what happened?
so it's almost been a year since this happened. I was supposed to be a bridesmaid in her wedding.
Classic.
We've been friends for 10 years. Like it's been a good friendship. We're super honest with each other. She's one of those friends that like calls me out for my shit, and I've always respected her for that. And I wouldn't even say a disagreement. We had to have an uncomfortable conversation before I was able to be in the wedding party, and I didn't have an answer for her. And then
What was the topic about?
it was a hot button issue about a certain vaccine.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Gotcha. All right.
Yes.
I
Say
feel
no
like
more.
that's
So-
really common actually nowadays with
So
a lot of
you
yeah.
guys disagreed about the vax. Okay.
Not necessarily disagreed. I think I was caught off guard, right? That was going to be a requirement because that hadn't something that was addressed when I was first asked to be a bridesmaid.
Gotcha.
So again, I wasn't against it, but I was just really caught off guard, and it made me a bit emotional because it felt like she had already made up her mind before the conversation. Like it kind of felt like she was ready to kind of cut me loose even
Now-
before having that conversation.
You hadn't at that point or had reservations about it, and you felt
Mhm.
like so she did cut you out, or how did she approach that conversation?
So she told me that she wanted the entire bridal party to be vaccinated. She said she didn't really ask me to do it. She was just kind of like, so that's it.
Would you have done it?
Yeah, because to me, it wasn't like
You just
a big deal.
How
I
did
just,
she know that you hadn't at that point?
Well, because I had just had COVID a few weeks prior. And so she had asked me if I had been vaccinated. And at that point, I hadn't. I was still like coming off of breastfeeding.
You're probably thinking I
and-
just got it, I've got some
Yeah, and I
antibodies.
just had it. So, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like, I'm not making excuses. That's just my own personal.
Yeah, we're not here to get into
experience.
like vax
Yeah.
debates here. But either way, at the
But
time you weren't, and your friend called you up and fired you from the bridal party and claimed that it was because you're not vaxxed. Did you still go to the wedding?
I did. So she still wanted me to come as a guest, and I
Because-
love her dearly. So I went.
Was the bridal
I got
party in a glass
vaccinated.
box?
No, it was outside.
Okay.
Um,
I just thought maybe they were
did-
like bubble wrapped because
It's weird that it wasn't because I've known weddings where it's everyone. It is vaccine
Sure.
mandatory. It's weird that just that chunk of people had the.
well, that's why we're smelling a little bullshit
Mm-hmm.
around the.
I think she was kind of expecting me not to go because I'm on the East Coast, she's on West Coast, but I love her. She's my best friend. I'm like, I'm going to be there for your special day no matter what. And if you're going to extend the invite as a guest, like, I'm going to come.
Were there other things going on in this friendship? Like, because it does, the way you tell it seems bizarre. Like, this was my friend, one of my best friends. She calls me a bullshit. And then, yes, the vax discussion is a hot topic that has brought families and close ones to some very heated discussions. I get that. But it seems odd that this friend didn't even say, hey, listen, I want you there. Like, it's not personal, but like, I'm just deciding to have everyone vaxxed. So can you please get vaxxed so that you can be in my wedding party? That didn't happen.
How have you guys been since? Like, obviously, it's a different friendship. There's like an elephant in the
No.
room. Is that
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the elephant in the room, and I've reached out, several times after that incident to talk because I just felt like we just needed to continue to talk and understand each other. And I told her, I'm like, I'm going to get vaccinated regardless if you want me in the wedding or not. To me, it wasn't like I wasn't standing on that issue, and plus I was going to be traveling. So then it just made more sense for me.
And do you remember anything prior to this happening? Was there another fight of some kind?
No, we've never had a fight, even really a disagreement, but because we've always talked it out and had an understanding for one another. The only thing that I can think of is I did notice, like, over the last year, there was less frequent texting, like less engagement, because we would FaceTime frequently. And I just assumed, like, she's a frontline worker, so I'm like, maybe, the pandemic is really wearing her down and it's just harder for her to like engage. But I did definitely kind of sense that there was not like she wanted to push me out of her life, but we are on opposite ends of the country. So it was kind of hard to stay friends, but we would go months and then FaceTime and it was like no time had passed at all. So
I have friends like that, though, where we'll go 6 months without talking, but then we'll talk like no time has passed just because we both get so busy. Have you expressed that it seems like you're hurt by it, like you miss her and your friendship?
I do.
Have you communicated that to her?
Yes.
And when she brought up this, I'm like making this a requirement and it didn't really seem like a question, did you just say, okay, and like knew what that meant and you weren't in the party? Or did you counter her and say, no, like I will get vaccinated if that's what you need. Like I still want to be a part of your day.
I told her at first, I said that I needed to think about it. But then at the end of our conversation, I said, I don't really have a problem. I don't have a problem or an issue.
But she was like, you're still
vaccinated.
out. It's too late.
It's like she already had her mind made up.
Yeah, that's how it felt. And I checked in like after we had hung up the phone because things just felt like uneasy
Usually, if
and
you have
uncertain.
that feeling,
So
you're right.
I just
So
checked
since
in
the wedding, you have reached out to her and said, I miss our friendship.
Yes.
And what did she say?
The first time, I think I included some of those texts.
She sent the one that said, you can always come stay with me, you and both kids. Did she just randomly sent you that one day?
Yeah. And this was after the wedding.
But that was her message, because that almost seemed like a response to something. So you wrote, hi, it's nice to hear from you. I guess I'm a little confused because I haven't felt great about where you and I stand. Things have felt very uncertain between us. Do you feel the same way? I just wanted you to know that you have a safe place if you needed it. To me, you're still my best friend. It makes me sad that we haven't talked and I miss you a lot. And then 3 days later, she wrote, I miss you too.
3 days later,
3 days later.
she could
Yeah.
have hearted it or something. Come on.
Dan,
And that's kind of how things were for a while. Like
and then,
I would get a
New
few
Year's
days
Day, you wrote,
response.
thinking of you today, Happy New Year. And then the next day, she wrote, Happy New Year, ! Same on the birthdays. She wished you happy birthday. You said thank you.
Is this someone you want to fight for to keep in your life or someone that you cherish?
Yeah, I mean, we've been through a lot together. She has been my number one supporter. She's pushed me out of my comfort zone. So I miss that. Like I miss her encouragement because it's nice to have, my partner does that for me, but it's so nice to have like that feminine energy, who just like gets you and knows your struggle, to have her support. So I miss her incredibly.
Maybe just tell her that. Speak from your heart and just say how much you miss her. And what do you think, Nick?
Do you think she should mention anything of like, I felt like things have been a little off since the bridal party
Well,
thing.
she has. I mean,
I would have loved to be a part of it.
She's really put herself out there already. I mean, once again, she wrote, hi, on June 11th, she wrote, hi, memories on my phone are popping up from mine and someone else's visit a few years ago, thinking of you and missing you. She wrote back a day later, that was such a fun trip. I hope you guys are doing well. And then you wrote, again, I miss our friendship. Would you be interested in talking? And then a day later, she wrote, yeah, let's find some time this week to talk if you're around. And then you wrote, I'm available. You're clearly like...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you have to just really lay it out there. I think you should get on the phone for sure. Even a FaceTime would be ideal.
Oh, I've called her so many times.
She doesn't answer?
No.
Oh, no.
No,
call
I've
her
left
and she
voice
just-
messages.
You've called her several times and left voice messages?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm just why are you hanging on to this so much? I mean, I get that she's your friend from the past, and I understand that, but it seems like she's actively not wanting to participate in this friendship.
Yeah, she's not really being a friend to you.
You're right. And at the same time, I don't like the icky feeling I have about like where we've left things. Not that I'm really looking for closure, because that's something that I can control, is like getting past it on my own, but
You can.
I don't
but
know.
I'm kind of contradicting myself. I feel like closure from friendships is something that's harder to get on your own than relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like with
it's definitely
relationships,
felt-
there's something like, well, if you don't want to be with me,
I'm not going to force you or
Not
be.
gonna force it,
Can't be one-sided.
but like a friendship, a relationship has the friendship element and the romantic side. And if the romantic side can get toxic, then someone doesn't want to, like those feelings can change. And despite the friendship still maybe being solid, you can't be friends with your ex type of thing. But a friendship, like you have this history and so much you've been through, like I feel like it's harder to get closure on your own. So here's what I think you should do now that I have all the information, and you tell me what you think. But I think you should try, if you can, to like get on the phone with her. She seems open to it. Has there been any follow-up since your last text?
No, so that's what I need your help. Like, do I draft another text and try and schedule?
Well, yeah, she
a
basically
call?
was just like, let's find this time this week. And you wrote, I like that. And just, I think you should text her, be like, how's this week looking for a catch up?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And just keep it short and simple.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
just get something on the
Yeah.
books so when you call, she's answering.
Yeah, because sometimes texting too comes off differently than when you actually speak to someone on the phone. So I feel like there's so much you guys probably need to talk about, but it needs to be on the phone.
and you said she's a frontline worker, so her probably schedule with work might be a little insane.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like half the times you're calling and reaching out, it's not like she's looking at the phone and sending it to voicemail. She might like not be on her phone, and then it's just not a priority to get it back to you. She could be feeling awkward about it as well, and maybe has maybe she's given up on the friendship. It certainly sounds like that. Like she live in a different part of the country. She got married. She's got these new beginnings. It's easy, I think, in someone in her position to kind of let the past go, and you don't want to, and that's okay. If you get on the phone with her, I would be just as open to getting closure as you are as saving the friendship. I think you want to go in with that mindset, because if you go in just to save the friendship, you might not get the closure you need. Because if she ultimately doesn't want to invest in this friendship, you know, like, I think, because if you focus on getting closure too, you can find out what might be the real reason, because it doesn't sound like even the vax is the real reason. And even if it was, you've since been vaxxed. You've tried out reaching multiple times. She seems not that interested. And maybe you get to the point where you just say, listen, it's totally okay if maybe you had a different part in your life, but like, can I just ask, like, what, from your point of view, like, why isn't this friendship a priority anymore?
Yeah.
Because you keep saying, I miss this friendship, and she says things like, I miss too. You're not really getting any answers. Does she like your partner? Because she did invite them to stay with her.
Good question.
Yeah.
That could be it.
I mean,
That could be it.
that could be. I mean, he asked when we were at the wedding, is like, is it me? Because like she didn't want to hug me or acknowledge me.
Really?
I'm like, well, I don't. Yeah,
I
but
think
it's like
that's-
he hasn't done anything to my knowledge that would like withstand.
Because didn't she
Like, make her
specifically
upset.
and let you and the kids come stay with her?
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even realize that was like so specific.
Because it doesn't, like, what you're telling doesn't all add up, right?
Because that's the thing. If it was the COVID vaccine, like I've watched that kind of be a conflict with people. They're not hugging each
Yeah.
other. At that point, they're like, come, but let's hang out outside or
elbow.
keep a distance. Like if that was really the reason, I don't think she would have been dancing and hugging with you all night.
Yeah, well, there's
Right.
that too. You're at the wedding. Even if people are arguing about the vax, eventually, like, it gets people in fights, but in most cases, it hasn't like stopped people from being friends. Like, you might have a heated discussion, and then later on, you know, whatever. And also, you've been vaxxed, so that's like a non-starter.
That sounds like an
Yeah.
excuse.
Yeah.
personally.
And then she randomly texts you, "Hey,
If you need a safe space to stay, does she
Yeah.
think
like,
something's
what is she,
going on that's
yeah, what
not
does she think that's going on with, like,
your
she
partner?
has, it sounds like she has an impression of you or your relationship that may or may not be accurate.
I think because her and I's views like align with everything going on, like politically and otherwise. So I think when I wasn't vaccinated, I think she thought it was my partner's influence. That's the only thing that I could think of. But it wasn't. Like I make my own decisions about my health choices. So, but that's the inkling that I get, like that she thinks that because he has different views on things, that it was him being like,
Oh, so
don't do
wait,
it.
you know that she knows that your partner has different political ideologies than you and her do.
That's got to be
Yes.
it.
Yeah, that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we
That
cracked the
was
case.
kind of my
Yeah.
underlying thought. But I mean, to me, it's like it has nothing to do with she and I. Like, you know, like what he
Well,
thinks
sadly,
and
in
what
this
he
day and
does.
age, people are drawing harder lines, and it's unfortunate. I don't necessarily agree with it, but there are people who are just who are doing that. So that is a choice that she is making, and that you have to, in a way, hold her accountable. That is not being a friend. Like, fine, if she
Yeah.
wants to set a boundary for herself, it's just like, I'm literally only going to associate with people who have the same beliefs as I have, and she feels like that's what she needs to do to protect herself and her beliefs. I guess, like, that's fine. Like, it's not the life for me, but that is a choice that she is making. I mean, I just don't think you should keep begging. And at the same part,
Yeah.
it's like, if that is what that text is about, that's also kind of disrespectful to you and him and the relationship. I mean, now she is assuming that you might not be safe because he has different beliefs than you. I mean, that's a little
think
nuts.
you might need to cut that friendship off, as
Yeah.
hard as it sounds, but it just sounds like it's one-sided and you deserve better as a friend.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like I know you keep saying like you miss the friendship. I think you're missing what sounds like the good times. But it's been almost a year of you continuing to reach out and try and save this, and you're not getting the effort from her. So at this point, you know you've done all you can do, but you're not going to necessarily miss feeling the way you're feeling right now. You're not going to miss why you called
Yeah.
in. You're thinking back to like the really good times.
If we're right, then she's pretty hardcore. And if she's hardcore,
Especially if
Is
she's
she
one to
hardcore?
call you out, you said. She's
Yeah.
the friend
she's
to
pretty
call you out.
hardcore. Yeah.
She has that
Yeah.
personality.
We're really getting to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
I think if you do talk to her, I think you should be less like, I think you kind of go about it with like nothing to lose. And I think if you do talk to her, you become a little bit more assertive and with expectations of getting out information, because it seems like up to this point, she's kind of been the power player and you've been a little bit more like submissive and demure and hope and trying to avoid upsetting her for fear of pushing her further away. And I think if you get on the phone with her, I don't think you should like be rude or anything, but I think you just be more direct and about like the answers that you want to get rather than worrying about saving the friendship. And if the friendship means anything to her, I think you being respectful and direct will get her to come around. But like this whole like, I miss you, please like me and be my friend clearly hasn't worked. And it's not like, so I think.
And you've already mourned the friendship.
Yeah.
So whether you're kind of like at this point, if you lose her or not, like you're going to be okay.
And also like you can't be friends with someone who's not going to at least respect you and your choices. And they don't have to agree with everything you do. But this friend, we assume, and this, you know, we might be wrong. We assume that they are making like judgments about you without all the information, you know, like she's assuming that your partner, while maybe different beliefs that you have, is like somehow brainwash you and you were incapable of making your own choices, you know, which is, that's like, think more of me, friend. I wouldn't fight anymore. If she check in one more time, hey, what's good for you this week to check in? And if she doesn't, then I think you mourn the loss, like you said, and move on. But friends can come and go, and they can have like not all friends are meant to be lifelong friends, and you can still value the friendship that you had with her, and it could have outgrown itself, and she could definitely be someone who like is not good to have in your life right now.
I needed to hear all of that.
All right, well,
Nick, you're good.
hopefully it helps.
Yeah.
I need to start listening to your podcast. I'm going to call you with some questions.
I'm here for you. So try that.
Okay. Hey, just checking in. When works best for you this week to chat?
Should we give it a minute? Maybe she'll write back.
Did you send it?
I did. I sent it. Well, thank you guys.
All
I
right.
really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Best
Good
of luck.
luck.
Thank you. I'll
right.
let you know how it goes.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, Audrina. Thanks for coming.
This was fun, you guys.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Please let my audience know where they can follow you, where they can buy your book. Well, you can, when your podcast, when it comes out.
Yeah. So my book, Choices to the Hills and Back Again, that comes out July 26th, but you can go on my
pre-order now?
You can pre-order now. You can go to my Instagram, Audrina Patridge. There's a link, or it's Amazon, Target. It'll be at Barnes & Noble, like wherever you can buy a book, it's going to be. And then as far as the podcast, was it real to the, I get these two confused. Was it real, the Hills rewatch?
To the hills and back again.
Yes, that's the other one. The podcast airs July 12th, and that's with Frankie and Brody. And
Give us a percentage. The Hills was 60% real.
it's so hard
73%.
to say. I can't, because a lot of it was real in the emotion, but then it was very guided in improv acting and like manipulated and editing and I mean
Real-ish.
real-ish. That's my answer.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to send in your questions at asknick@castme.com, cast with a K. Next week, slightly different week, holidays. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You won't want to miss it. Bye.
Wait, this is probably one of the best podcasts I've done. So
Yay.
Hey guys, thanks for watching, but before you go, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any future videos like our Mondays Ask Nick for your favorite relationship stories and advice, and our Tuesday Bachelor recaps. See you next time.